As Stephen Jones joins us now on the Fan. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good, guys. How you doing?
We're doing good. Are you disappointed you're not going to be able to put your absolute best foot forward as far as finishing with a win?
Well, we're going to put our best foot forward. It's just we're going to be missing a few guys, and unfortunately, that comes with this situation we're in this time of year with a combination of the pandemic as well as being the flu season. It's a tough situation, but that's what all teams have to deal with. All 32 have to do it, and again, go back to stressing. That's what I like so much about this team is we do have some really good players that give us great depth that are going to get some opportunities here and expect them to step up.
Stephen, we're looking to go best of both worlds here, where you have a lot of guys who are able to rest and you're able to get a win just in case you can move up. How much did that factor in? Like any of these guys who are not sick but are banged up, if it was win and you're the 2 seed, would these guys be going?
No, I think basically the guys who aren't going are the guys who can't play. I mean, they just are unable to because of the rules. And so, no, we're going to be out there trying to win this football game in every way possible. And no, we've got an obstacle or two because of COVID and because of some sicknesses that we've got to deal with.
You feeling all right yourself, Stephen?
Do I feel great? I feel great.
Right on, brother. Right on.
I hope I sound good.
Yeah, you sound pretty good. I thought there might be a little something there, but you sound pretty good.
Well, don't be putting that thought in my head. There's a lot going on in our building, so
that's my bad. Hey, is there any talk in the league about changing policies with the playoffs coming up to give players as good of a chance of playing if they're not symptomatic?
Well, I think we are. I think we've adjusted as we've gone with the CDC and the things that they enable us to do. I mean, obviously the 5 days is a big deal because these guys, a lot of our players are young and recover quickly and are able to get right back in the mix. And at the same time, there's players, I'm sure there's people around the country who may have something but show no symptoms. And, we're not testing unless players are symptomatic. So we think all those things are good things, are positive things. At the same time, if a player does feel ill and he does have symptoms, then we certainly want to take care of our players as well.
So without Trayvon and without Anthony Brown, Kelvin Joseph, I think for a lot of Cowboy fans, will take center stage here at corner. And to my eye, he's played pretty well when he's been out there. What have you guys thought of him? And being this shorthanded, do you think we'll be seeing Nashawn Wright? What is the cornerback group going to look like on the field?
Well, I'm sure everybody will get their opportunities, including Nashawn. Obviously, it's great that we've got Marcus Kennedy back. He'll be in the mix. But I'm with you. I mean, I do think Kelvin Joseph really stepped up and played well a couple of weeks ago, and when Lewis couldn't go, and so we moved AB inside, and I think Kelvin really stepped up and did an outstanding job at that corner position. Certainly, we thought a lot of him. Thought he had big-time skills and picked him there in the second round. He's a lengthy corner. He's got long arms and uses those to his benefit, and I think he's competitive as hell, and I think he's ready to get out there and show people he deserves to be a starter.
Stephen, have you, as you're having to deal with the COVID stuff like you've talked about, though, and you've had players that have been on the list and then come back from the COVID, is there any studies or anything about guys and how they've played coming back? Have you found it's a little bit more difficult than maybe you thought? I mean, I've kind of watching these teams and these guys coming back from it, and it appears that it's taken them like a game or two to kind of get back to full strength there.
I don't know necessarily, Brian, that I've seen that on a consistent basis. I mean, you'll have a few that, who come back real quick that maybe have a little fatigue and catching their breath, when they stress themselves. But, no, overall, there's, I wouldn't say that that's really common. I think these guys come back and they play well and they perform well, and certainly believe that our guys do a great job of getting them ready, getting them prepared, and, feel like they can get out there and do their job.
How realistic is it that if you had an outbreak, the NFL could alter the schedule to keep star players in these games? Are we going to be locked in, or and if you're super sick, you're just going to have to put your best team out there, or will there be flexibility from the league on this?
I mean, my understanding is it's full speed ahead, and hadn't heard any plans, making alternative plans if something were to happen. I know the league does a great job of certainly working through this, and I'm sure they do have plans, but I'm not aware of them. And I think I think we can expect what we've been seeing, which is you have to certainly step up and deal with any situations that you have. And we put a lot of rules in place last year with a big practice squad and the ability to move players up, which is a big deal when you can move players off your practice squad. We have veteran players on our practice squad that can step up. So, my thought is that we're going to be playing playoff games regardless.
What is your perspective on, like we've seen over the last few days, 3 Cowboy star players in the front row at a Dallas Mavericks game? As you're getting close to the playoffs, do you guys talk to them? Does it bother you, or is it kind of, look, everybody knows what they need to do and everybody's an adult?
I think everybody has to be aware, and certainly you want your players to make good decisions, and I think that probably was an eye-opener probably for players, for everybody, that they do need to be aware, especially as we head down the home stretch here with the playoffs coming up, that you are going to have to make some sacrifices and not do some things that you might not normally do until, hopefully we finish our season, which is hopefully 4 or 5 weeks from now.
Steven, last week you had really your offensive line together, the 5 guys that you were projecting to be starters all year long, got their first work together. When the inability to run the football, when you sat down and watched the tape of that, can you give us a little bit of an idea of maybe what you saw, or when you were visiting with the coaches, why you guys weren't as successful running the ball last week with those 5 starters?
As you know, Brian, when you got 5 guys up there, it only takes one guy to make a mistake that
right.
That can shut the whole thing down, whether it's a penalty, whether it's a missed assignment, and the one guy can get it right for 90% of the plays, and the other guy not get it right for a different 10% of the plays. And I think it's just the continuity and playing together, and we've got to get rid of some of these mistakes that we're making, starting with the penalties. But that's a big part of this, because they certainly holding penalties. We all know what that does to a drive. It's hard to overcome a holding penalty, but we've just got to continue to get better and be more consistent as a group in terms of how we're executing out there. And I think our guys are working on that, and certainly they know they have to be better. If we're going to run the ball better, if we're going to have a better offense, they've got to step up and improve as we move forward, and I think they will.
What are your thoughts on how often you're trying to overcome missed kicks to get a win or tie it up late as it was last week?
Well, that's a tough one too. I mean, we've got to be more consistent, making these kicks, whether it's an extra point, a field goal, a short field goal. Those are all things that, no different than an offensive lineman making a holding penalty. It's one more thing that you gotta overcome, and certainly we have to be better at that. I have a lot of confidence in Zerline that he'll get his job done, but certainly, when you miss those opportunities, they can come back and haunt you. And obviously, a lot of these games come down to the wire, whether it's a field goal, an extra point. And so a missed kick certainly hurts, but no one knows that better than Zerline, and have a lot of confidence he'll step up and do his best work here coming up against the Eagles and then on into the playoffs.
Are you still as confident in Kellen Moore figuring out how to attack a defense?
Absolutely. I mean, I've got all the confidence in Kellen. It's just execution. I think he's got a great mind for this game and how to move the ball. We just, as an offense, have to go out and execute, and I'm sure he'll sharpen his pencil even more so down the stretch here as we get ready to play the Eagles and move into the playoffs in terms of what he's got up up his sleeve in terms of moving the football as we move forward.
Last night we were talking about this article that the great Rick Goslin wrote, saying maybe the NFL could let coaches vote on the refs that officiate the playoffs instead of the league doing their own grading. I always love asking you questions like this because your status with the competition committee and all that, your perspective from the league. Do you think the NFL would consider that?
It's something, I think we should always consider any idea. And obviously, Goose has done a great job over the years of knowing the NFL, knowing our game. And I'm sure, if someone throws something like that out there, then we certainly need to consider it. And we'll look at it, I'm sure, and give it a good going over and then decide if it's something we should pursue.
Stephen, my final question for you is, who is your favorite and least favorite Cowboys beat writer?
I think I'll pass on all the above. I do have a ton of respect for our writers in this area.
What about Archer?
Guys who are beat writers, whether it's you guys who cover us buying through the radio. I do have a tremendous amount of respect, and I do think overall we get treated fairly in this market. It's obviously a very intense market when it comes to the Cowboys, but have nothing but respect for you guys and the great job y'all do covering our football team.
I got to believe you got to MF us every once in a while when you're driving around listening to us, right?
Well, I'm sure you've MF'd me too. So.
Perfect. Yes, sir.
I'm sure several have. So,
good deal.
Hey, turnabout's fair play in this stuff, and I know I hadn't always been at the top of everybody's list, and as far as I know, nobody is.
Yes, sir. Great stuff. We appreciate you as always. Give him hell up there. We've been pulling for you.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thanks.